Hello everybody, hope you're doing well and welcome to a brand new video. This was going to be focused on masteries. What are some options, some builds that you could consider for whatever reason? We're going to go over several. We're going to talk about some theories and stuff. Do bear in mind on the YouTube channel, we do have right here mastery guides. Go and click on that if you want to go and check out some of the videos we're going to be referring to. I've probably got another two. Also, I've put in the spreadsheet, which a link to is in the description. Links to the following, which is Aunt May's masteries. If you just click on it, it will take you right there and then. And what you can do is you can actually build a mastery within it and just add points in. Fantastic thing, you know, that's created on that particular site. Also, there is another link there to a more advanced, because as I've said in here, and just to be specific, because obviously people don't fully listen to the videos, they don't pay attention at times, but this is a general and basic mastery options for players. I will try in some ways to go into more detail, but I do recommend if you want any kind of like further detail to click this particular link in there, which take you to the MCC Mastery Guide by Giant Bucket. It is a fantastic resource and gives you more of a kind of in-depth 40-page plus if you want more than just kind of like what I'm kind of like offering. At page 28, there is a real kind of like easy breakdown to things, and there's tabs to the left hand side. It's very well put together. Okay, now let's go over the basics. Again, explaining a bit more when it comes to the basics. I've got some questions here, like obviously we explained what the spreadsheet's about. What champions are you focusing on? Is this something that you want to build something around, like when you're building a Necropolis build, for example? You may have champions you're using that has Fury buffs. You may spend a lot of time in lower health. If you spend a lot of time in lower health, then there may be more value to go for the likes of Courage, because if you're below 50% of health most of the time, then you might as well do more damage for it. Again, it's a very kind of like rough example, but it's an example nevertheless. If you're going in Necropolis or any other place that, say, a champion has a lot of healing or regeneration effects, then you might go into Despair. Is there a case for, or a situation for facing off against champions that you're likely to get the health down very quickly, and therefore Assassin would come into play? Maybe Deep Wounds. It's got a lot of champions that do bleed debuffs, so you may want to put on Deep Wounds. You may find a lot of problems when it comes to like doing more damage. You may be like, or Glass Cannon could be something to improve the damage potential of certain champions. And the list goes on. We'll kind of go over some more in a minute, but that's just kind of like trying to get you with an idea of thought process, especially if you're like, well, I'm not quite sure about my masteries with things. I also would recommend, as further you go down the line, to grab mastery cores from the loyalty store only. So the reason I recommend the loyalty store only is that the cost side of things is just going to be so much. Yes, the advantage is you can go into, I think it's under miscellaneous. Well, it wasn't miscellaneous, or was it somewhere else? Was it rank ups? It's in one of these particular tabs. It may be under featured item, to be honest. But in one of the various tabs, there is, and I'll probably find it when at least I expect it to. Maybe it's under rank ups. No, it definitely was something that I found it in here. It was either under miscellaneous or it was under the various different tabs. And that is the cores, okay? The loyalty cores. It was under masteries. Oh god, so that would have been the best place to go first off. But under there you can see it says mastery core X, so there's a mutant one, and of course it's got a certain hours where it kind of departs. So what you can do instead is to limit down your the cost of things, because look, here it is, like it's going to cost a lot. I've got loads of mastery core X's, but I don't have any mystics. I need that for mystic dispersion, so I might be inclined to go, let's save up my loyalty and buy via there, because at least it kind of reduces down my cost with these particular things, because otherwise it will become very expensive if you're looking to target especially mystic dispersion, which I was going to do, then I realized I didn't have enough, which you can see that I can't unlock anymore, because I got, hey, I need more. Great. I thought I unlocked mystic dispersion a long time ago, but I think you got to buy it each time, maybe not. Anyway, that's something I've got to do. This is likely going to be changed to a Mystic Dispersion based build for the BG one I have at the moment. So let's begin with a new player to the game type mastery. Now this one is a Giant Bucket one. It's going to flip between some different options, things I recommend, things I've seen, and I'm just going to go over a little bit of a justification as to why. So at the moment, you can see with this, it's a 40 point new player. option to the game, and that just varies. It's up to you where you feel you want to build this, because it's very much, first off, right, let's get into the early types of proficiencies, and I do recommend that, going into parry first off, then going into limber, of course, going down to dexterity, because you need to unlock that one. And I guess that's going to be down to like what you want to see from this one. I don't know if I recommend Pacify that much. That's one thing. I definitely think that Stupefy could be of assistance to increase those stun debuffs, but again, that's down to a personal preference of what you're particularly interested in. You could also look to improve the damage potential of any kind of like given champion by going down the routes of your strength, then going into the, of course, greater strength, and then kind of choosing to go into pierce, to then branch through into the likes of lesser precision, and then going into standard precision and greater and cruelty. I thought it was greatest actually. And then stopping there. Like you may not have a huge amount of points, so it may be all about improving the damage potential, but do bear in mind getting into the defensive and at least thinking about, well, I want to at some point get into willpower, could be your next steps as a kind of like a new player to the game to kind of mitigate some stuff. Now, looking at a general kind of generic type mastery: willpower, despair, deep wounds, mystic dispersion, and courage for more damage. I will just state right off the bat that the courage mastery is an incredible Marmite mastery. Some people like it, some people don't like it, and I'd say that they probably go that they like it, but it's like they don't see the overall point to having it when they feel those particular mastery points can be used in different areas. So again, to kind of reiterate what courage will do for anybody, it's like, as I said here, your champions passively increase attack during their attacks by 10% while they're below 50%. Of course, that scales the more that you kind of buy into it, but it's a tough one because some people like it, some people don't. This particular mastery setup in the general and defensive mastery tab could be something you set up in a defensive element, but I don't know if that really, this would be more of like a generic use than a defensive use. So deep wounds as well with nothing in assassin. It depends what kind of content you're looking to do. In an alliance war setting, in an attack format, I would indeed be going for assassin just to get that damage down sooner and quicker. And also having the likes of despair can be something that's quite good, but again, you have to afford yourself to be low on your damage potential. Maybe something more for questing than anything, but I would say there may be some other ones that's slightly better. Willpower is that mastery that seems to be, again, very popular for a lot of players. I, for a long time, did not have it, and that's just because I was going for a different thing and a bit of laziness, to be honest. It happens. I've seen many people say exactly the same. Stand your ground. If you're looking to be in, from an Alliance Wars defense perspective, if you're getting your block broken, then that can be something that could really help out in the defensive element, but it's not a huge thing. For Battlegrounds, it could be something of a key thing as well to set up, and having a little bit of this one, which is block proficiency, can help to kind of mitigate some damage. Could be quite handy for the likes of incursions, but again, it depends if you're building an incursion specific mastery. But again, that's another layer of complexity over another layer of complexity. Having the likes of this particular proficiency, which is limber, it's all about going if you think you're going to get stunned. So I would say if you planning on being stunned, depending on the content, it could be very helpful. And of course, Mystic Dispersion, which is something very helpful this month with the Mystic Champions on attack, can be incredibly nice for that. There could be a bit of a different shift, especially if you're looking for the likes of something that's more kind of defensive and is kind of adding more kind of dispersion higher, Mystic Dispersion higher with this one. Also, a mastery that I've seen some people use in a new thing at the moment is I think it's Inequity, and Inequity is this one right here, which is passively reduce enemy attacks by 4% for each debuff they are currently suffering from. Again, it's such an iffy one with this one. I've seen some people use it as a Battlegrounds attack. For me, I find it again a bit of an iffy one. It depends on how you plan to. Is this a defensive based property for Battlegrounds? Is it not? Is it something that's going to be more better for Alliance Wars defense? Again, that's going to be something down to like how you spec, to how you feel the champions you're putting on will be attacked, and that's something, a layer of complexity you've really got to kind of like get the idea around for it. I've put some further notes on the subject of this and thinking about like, okay, what am I setting up for defense? Is there something going to be of benefit? Look, because in theory you could go, well, I'll put energy resistance on, physical resistance, block proficiency, stand your ground, willpower, maybe, and then maybe vitality. Sorry, and those are going to be your kind of like better masteries to go. Oh, make that defensive. But look, there's a lot of layers of complexity to going. Is this the right champion? What does it interact with? What abilities does it have? Does it have something that's going to be block proficiency, kind of like raising up, that's going to be a pest? Is it going to be something that's not going to be receptive to those particular abilities? And again, that's just down to how you set up the loadout that's going to be for the specific champion in defense. Now, just quickly onto a Necropolis build. This was my Necropolis build to utilize around Aegon. Aegon's a champion that has bleed, so deep wounds. A lot of the champions are going to be my alarm went off. A lot of champions are going to be down to about 15% for a longer length of time, 80%, whatever percent it is. And so Assassin comes in. Despair can help if champions are regenning at a high rate. There are some fights in Necropolis. Coagulate, Courage, because I'm going to be down, to lower health for a long length of time. Glass Cannon to maximize damage there. I've also, because the champion gets Fury buffs, gone Greater Strength and Extended Fury. Is it Strength? Enhanced Fury and Extended Fury. Sorry, those are the ones I've gone with to action some more damage. I've also, in this particular scenario, added in, and again, this Greater Strength, yes, I did add in. But again, that's probably going to be more of a bespoke thing. I also decided to add in, more to Pacify and to, I think, is it Limber with it? No, Petrify. Again, to try and take on those regeneration effects that some champions have. When it comes to a defense-based element, nothing. It was all attack orientated in order to do as much damage as possible in a very short space of time, or as much time as I had in Necropolis. But that's a bit of that was down to me, whether or not people said it's good or bad. I just didn't want to do Suicide Masteries because I wanted to not recoil and rotate around SP2s to do bleed damage where deep wounds would come into effect. Okay, now on to arena farming. I've done two versions of what I'd planned to do, which you can check out there. They're on the screen right now, but I'm going to be going off of the one that's mine. But there's two options. One that goes, I think one's very similar to the other. I think mine is mine's more deep wounds because I have a lot more bleeding champions, and also one less in Assassin, which it's going to be, it's pretty much seen between them both. And from the defense perspective, they're pretty much the same. Yeah, they're pretty much the same when it comes to defense. And proficiencies wise, I've done one more into Stupefy, but I think that's because I had the Necropolis extra mastery point with mine. So yeah, mine is all about trying to, be a Ouchie's Masteries. And of course, as the normal, the Willpower. And of course, I've got one in Coagulate to reduce down bleed damage. And from a front end perspective, of course, I've got one in Recoil. No more in Recoil. Glass Cannons on full. And yeah, it's all about Liquid Courage and Double Edge and doing that kind of as much damage as possible. Double immunity champions that interact around the recoil mastery, bleeds, poisons, shrug offs, purifies, are going to be some very effective champions to use around this. But that's mine for arena farming and Suicide Masteries, Ouchie Masteries in general. And we finish with arena specific, grinding only. This one will be just a bit different than the ones I've presented. This one's low Assassin, Willpower, low Glass Cannon, max Coagulate. We've got low Deep Wounds, more regen, max Perfect Block, Pacify, and more parry. And also another one which is All Out Attack. This is from Giant Buckets Arena Guide and is very much like all in the offensive base to it. And the thing is, that's what you may have to consider when creating a build. Giving you options, that's all I'm doing. You can dispute like how I put the stuff together, what I'm choosing. Look, these are different options. It's up to you where you go with it. And also I'm sure people would go like, oh Rich, I see your point, but I'd rather do that into that. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But what this is doing is just giving you some examples of different types of masteries. And now that we have these mastery loadouts, you can make informed decisions of going, well, I like to do this, or I like to do that. And also this time I've got 3 options to play about with to kind of get what is going to work and what is not going to work. I hope this video helped anybody that's looking for some mastery options to field their loadouts in. Check out some other content located on screen, and also check out the playlist, which is one more video that's going to be launched that will be part of this spreadsheet, which is going to be called Champs to Use with Ouchie Masteries, which will be out at some point. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.